Hello, everybody. We're gonna start with today's today's session right now. I'm gonna start with a couple of words about Sofia Revit User Group, and then I'll pass the word to our guest today. Maybe I could start with sharing my screen right now, just to give you some brief introduction to Sofia Revit User Group and to give you some context. Uh, Hopefully you know about our group. Since you're here, you definitely should know about us. But we started back in 2018 with some live meetings, and the aim is to bring together people who are involved in the AEC sector here in Bulgaria, and they're interested in BIM. The aim is to share knowledge and experience and to get all this first person from the personal experience of our lectures. Uh, since the beginning, we've organized around 16 live meetings, and in the past year, we started this new format, which is the web talk, where we invite some experts from the field from around the world, not only here locally in Bulgaria. So the idea is to bring international experience and to see how other people are dealing with our struggles, not to encapsulate in our own bubble here. You could find more information about the group on our website, which is sofiarug.com, or our Facebook group, which is also the place where you could find uh, people where you could start discussions, ask your own questions and everything. But pretty much the hub is our website where you could find all the links down below to the other channels. For example, the YouTube channel where all the sessions are also uploaded. Also, you could check the different meetings as a blog post. So if you missed something, you could find information about it below. Also, very important section of our website, of course, is the partner or the sponsors section where any company which supports us is presented. So we are non-profit organization, so we highly encourage you to help us by becoming our partner and help us continue what we do, because we believe that this helps everybody. So if you're interested in a way to support our cause, you could contact us, or if you want to do this by yourself in person, you could follow our Patreon page. So here I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and I'm gonna give the word to today's guest to introduce himself and to say more about the topic today.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you to Peter for inviting me to join your group for this meeting. I'm just going to share my screen. So okay, you should be able to. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
that's it. Thank you.
So yeah, I decided that for the topic of this meeting, I wanted to talk about something that perhaps I know best, which is teaching Revit and AC software in general. This is where I have most of experience, and within Balkan Architect, we have developed some teaching methods that may be applicable for your careers and inside of your workflows or companies and so on. So just for a quick introduction, I just wanted to kind of go over my background and how I got started. Here you can see the image of, I think this is the first video where I show my face. So yeah, I started as an architecture student in Belgrade, and one of the first things that I've noticed during kind of my early university days was how powerful people that knew software were. So the better somebody knew a specific software, they could do more things more efficiently, and yeah, they didn't need to have all that many sleepless nights during their studies. So I was really impressed with that, and I wanted to start learning software on my own, and I did. And after the first year, just as I started the second year, I started teaching younger students because I was, well, a broke student. So this was just a fun kind of side income source. And yeah, I started from AutoCAD and Photoshop, just the basics for architecture students in Belgrade at that time. But then as I started learning Revit, I started teaching that as well. So these were just kind of one-on-one simple kind of classes with students, and kind of as a way to advertise that, I decided to try to create some YouTube tutorials. So I first did that in Serbian language, and it failed completely as a method of advertisement. However, it did introduce me to the world of YouTube tutorials, which became really fun for me. And I then started making more content, and then I started making content in English, especially for Revit. So, as I said, it started as a fun kind of side project, and it slowly grew from there. Now we're actually a company. There's four of us in the team. We have Daniela, who's our Revit lead. She does all of the research and development and also one-on-one consulting with our clients. We have Uroš, our marketing manager, and Nemanja, who does video editing and customer support. And then there is me, who does all of the content recording and, of course, research development for the courses and the content itself. Also, there has been a lot of success in terms of social media. So on YouTube, you probably know me from YouTube because we kind of try to pop up whatever you search for Revit related. So that's 650,000 subscribers. Also, we have a large following on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. And what I'm perhaps most proud of is the members on the website. We have over 20,000 members on balkanarchitect.com that and we're basically building a community there. So, as I've mentioned, I started this as kind of a fun hobby that kind of grew into a full-time business for me. And what I realized very soon was that this is no longer a hobby and that I need to get serious about it. So I started thinking about just the basic concept of education, what education is, and how do we need to approach education in the 21st century. So to understand just how I reached the method that we're using right now, I wanted to go over kind of a brief history of education as I see it and how that informs our methods today and how we got where we are. So teaching basically started from religion. First schools were monastery schools, and the goal of education was to serve religious and cultural purposes. Then we had the Enlightenment, and again, it was less religious, but also serving the purposes of enlightenment. And when we look at academia today, not much has changed, which we can see from the roots of education in terms of things like clothing, the titles, the Latin terms. It's all revealing that history of how education got there. Now, I'm not saying that this is a problem. I personally love symbology and proudly displaying one's roots and heritage, but there is a big problem if the same mindset applies. So when I remember my days at the university, I often felt like the academic ascent was kind of the main goal, and anything practical or applicable would usually be kind of brushed off. We were usually in some sort of wild concepts, and whenever anybody wanted to delve a bit deeper into any of the topics and do something a bit more practical, it was usually kind of brushed off as something that's not important, that's something that was perhaps even lazy in a way. I really didn't like that, and it really shows that uh, education kind of stayed in the clouds, as you if you will. So basically, just not being connected properly with the real world and the economy. Now, this perhaps wasn't a big problem where only a few people were educated and most people worked in the fields in agricultural. But then perhaps 100 years ago also wasn't that applicable because most people did physical labor jobs. But now when we're all doing some sort of intellectual endeavor and we all need to use our minds, while it's really important that education catches up with reality. So the technological advancement is really rapid, and education needs to be rapid as well and evolve as quickly or even quicker because it's definitely lagging to catch up with the needs of today's economy. We have to rethink the entire idea. Now, the first idea here is the idea of gatekeeping. So, in the past, obviously, where the books were, that's where the knowledge was, and only people who had access to those books had access to knowledge. And of course, not many people could read. However, today we have internet and it has been expanding rapidly, and everybody now has access to information. So lack of information is no longer the problem. Now it's the overwhelming amount of information. If you decided to research everything on a specific topic, it would probably take several lifetimes just because of the sheer amount of content out there. So that's why we really need to rethink this approach where education is not only just giving people access to information, it needs to be way, way more than that. And also, we have a problem of focus. This is something that I've noticed in my own life, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this, where uh, being focused is one of the main things that can make or break your educational path. I often find myself wanting to learn something that I see is important. However, I lose focus if the material that I'm using is not adequately engaging or interesting. And then, of course, I have situations where I would learn everything about a specific topic just because the content is so fun and engaging. So even though it's something that you absolutely don't need, you keep learning it. So we need to make sure that what we need to learn is also fun to learn, so we would want to learn it. So that's basically kind of how I got to developing some starting principles that I can use for my courses and my overall approach to education. So to learn how to teach in the 21st century, we must first deconstruct the process. So how does one absorb knowledge most effectively? And for this, I decided to build a fictitious scenario that would be kind of an ideal way of learning a specific skill or topic that would actually be applicable in real life. So not some academic assent, but actual applicable knowledge. Here I have an example where we would have a student and a teacher. They would be sitting side by side. The teacher is very experienced, very knowledgeable, and then the teacher would start explaining the process on a fun and simple project or example, and the student would just follow along. So that would be kind of the first step. The teacher would show on something simple, the student would follow. Then the next step would have to be the student kind of starting working on their own, and teacher is right there next to them all the time, and whenever there's a hiccup, wherever somebody gets stuck, the teacher is there to help. Then the next step is student is working completely on their own, but the teacher is there when something completely different, where a different concept or a different approach needs to be used. So to explain that concept and not only to teach just how to solve a particular issue, but also how to think about and how to approach just discovering solutions to new issues that may arise during the student's work. And also we have some really important notes, which is to keep it fun, keep it interesting. You want to make sure that the student is focused at all times. And also have milestones to celebrate. I think this is really important, something that I've noticed when I'm learning something, especially if it's something as complex as as Revit, for example, where you can pretty much learn it for days and days and days without doing anything concrete, without doing anything that you can kind of show for all of that time that you've spent learning. So you need to incorporate specific milestones along the way in order to have something that people can celebrate as, oh, I did this. This is my achievement. This gives you all of that motivation to continue learning, especially when it's something really complex. And also never overwhelm. When it comes to teaching complex things, you can easily overwhelm somebody by going too deep and going too far into the details. So you really need to add that depth over time, but have those milestones to celebrate along the way. Okay, so with all of this, we have some phases that we can bring out of this fictitious scenario. So first is start with a simple project, make it fun and interesting, and keep the attention of the student. The next step or the next phase is student takes over and you just give constant support if any issues arise. And then we have the final phase is being there in the long run, solving complex problems and offering new solutions. So with all of this, I've built the Balkan Architect solution, and all of this I did when I was developing my beginner course. And I wanted to apply all of this methodology on something as complex as Revit, and this is basically what I've gotten. I've used the approach, but what I wanted to do is maximize affordability. Obviously, in this example, where the teacher is sitting next to the student, takes an experienced teacher teaching only one student, and usually that would cost way too much for anybody to learn anything. So we need to make it more affordable with technology. And when I say technology, I don't mean any advanced AI stuff. I mean just simple old content that can be shared and absorbed. Okay, so what is the Balkan Architect approach? So the first step is a simple project. As you said, it needs to be fun and exciting. And as you can see from this house here, it's not a boring project. It's something that looks really fun. And when you complete it, it's that important milestone. You finish this and you're like, oh, look what I did. This is a successful achievement. You can share this with others. You can say, okay, look, I know how to work in Revit. Obviously, you don't know, you're just beginning, but it's something that you can show for all of your kind of time and effort that you've spent. And for example, this is only 1 hour and 20 minutes, something like that. So it's very simple, straightforward, not too much detail. We're skipping over all of kind of little things that need to be fixed later on, but we want to get to that milestone and we want to get there quickly so people don't lose motivation. So because if this were to take 5 hours and solve all of the problems, most people would give up after 2 hours, in my experience. Okay, so then we have the step two, which is the complex project. So we need to add more complexity, building upon what we have already learned. So the basics are there. Now it's just time to expand that. And also, of course, it's important to keep it fun and engaging, but also I like to separate it in small chunks. So all of our content is from 2 to 10 minute long videos. Anything past that just makes it difficult for people to complete in one sitting. And if you make it difficult to complete in one sitting, people usually give up. At least that's our experience. So we try to keep it within that kind of small bite-sized chunks. Then we have step three, which is exploring additional projects. And this is where I would bring up in-place modeling and in form of this fireplace project and massing project with this building. So the idea is to show other things that can be done. So we're introducing students to new design environments like the massing design environment and the family editor, but we're not scaring them, we're not overwhelming them. It's just a simple project that they can complete and they can be introduced to this whole new workspace without going too deep into it. Okay, so this is where students can take over and start working on their own. So this is where I often recommend either taking on a simple project that they've done in the past, perhaps an AutoCAD project or something like that, or just doing something fun like modeling their own apartment or house in Revit as a fun exercise. Again, you don't have to go too much into detail, just keep it fun and complete something on your own. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second. Okay, moving forward, then we have our step four. So this is where we give that continuous support to students. We did this in form of the knowledge base. So this is kind of constructed on the Autodesk knowledge base where they have information about all of the tools. The problem is it's in text format for most of them, so it can be really difficult to completely understand. It's much better when you see a video where somebody is showing a step-by-step. And also it's all over the place, so we try to make it a bit more direct and straightforward. So if you get stuck anywhere along the way working on your own projects, you can, oh, so I have a graphics problem. I'm just going to check out the graphics chapter and usually you have your answer there. So that's our step four. And finally, we have the step five, which is one-on-one consulting. This is something that we've introduced later on just because we need somebody working full-time for this. We need somebody giving constant support to clients. And in a lot of cases, just a 20-minute chat can often solve a point where somebody gets stuck and just cannot continue working on their project. So our clients have been very happy with this feature. So this is just kind of a general outline of our methodology. And of course, we do offer specialized courses for any specific topic that people may be interested in. But this is kind of our main learning path, going from knowing nothing about Revit to getting to a point where you can actually complete projects on your own. Now, we also make sure that we tick some of the important boxes. So our courses are up to date in terms of any new Revit updates. We make sure that any new introduced tools are covered. We make sure that everything is clear, straightforward, fun, and attention-based. So it's all based on keeping your focus and attention on the videos and on the content, making it fun to learn. What I like to say is because I have a background in YouTube, I started doing this on YouTube only. And when I talk to professors at my university, I tend to joke with them. When people come to your auditorium and they're just listening to your lecture, you have basically a monopoly on their attention. And I'm on YouTube and I'm competing with cat videos. So I need to make my content as fun as possible to compete with cat videos and other funny and silly things on YouTube. So that's why what we try to incorporate in the courses as well, just to keep them as interesting as possible. So this is kind of a fun fun little image that we made. So attention is the new currency. I'm sure you've seen these silly videos where they have a game playing on half of the screen and then something else happening on the other side of the screen. And it's kind of silly, but we have incorporated this in a way. Obviously, we're not doing this. However, we have started to include myself in the corner of the screen when we record the videos. So the reason for this, uh, it might look silly at first, or it might look not as relevant. However, this is very important. Something that we've noticed is when people watch the course, if I have to stop and explain something for 30 seconds or a minute, people usually tend to lose focus because they're not following the cursor on the screen, they're not following along, and they lose focus. So what we've noticed is if we include a camera that's on me, and when I speak about this, when I explain a concept or something like that, the attention is there because they have somebody to look at who's talking to them. So this was a very important thing that we have added into our videos, and we're updating the courses so they all include this because we've seen that people are way more likely to finish the course if there is somebody kind of talking to them and perhaps making sure that they finish their tasks. Okay, so moving forward, I also wanted to talk about new technologies. It's 2024, so I don't know, would this talk even count if I don't mention ChatGPT or AI in general? And when the AI hype was at its peak, I kind of asked myself, is ChatGPT coming for my job? Am I replaceable? And I did some tests. I would like to encourage you to check out the video if you're interested. It's called Can ChatGPT Teach You Revit? And what I did was I took some very basic things that a beginner would ask me. And this is usually something that we would get through email or in our consultations and so on. And I tried to ask ChatGPT and use the step-by-step answers to follow along and solve that issue. So what we have learned is that the solution is not ideal, so it looks like I'm safe for now. And what it turned out is that with ChatGPT, it's like learning Revit by Googling it. The problems are very similar. It will offer a solution, but the solution it might be applicable to a different case and not the one that you're looking into, or it might not work at all, or it might cause problems down the road. So you might see something either by using ChatGPT to try to solve something in Revit or just by Googling it, and then your BIM manager loses their mind because you have done something that doesn't fit your company standards and processes at all. So this is something that's really important to mention. I am really excited about new technologies, especially AI in the AC industry. However, we cannot ask too much out of technology, and for specific tasks, we do need to make sure that are these new technologies the right answer, or do we need to use a different answer? Okay, so moving forward, what's the point out of all of this? Well, of course, one side of it is promotion for Balkan Architect and just telling you about what we do. However, more importantly, I wanted to outline the entire train of thought and how I got to this process so you can think about it from a first principles approach and see how you can implement some of this in your own companies, in your own processes, and so on. So I think that the BIM manager is often the educator within a company. And if the BIM manager is setting the standards, the BIM manager needs to communicate those standards in a kind of quality way. There is that joke that architects are engineers that don't do math. That's often true. Also, I think architects are engineers that don't read very often. So making sure that you have information in a way that can be easily digested and easily absorbed is really important. So that's why I like incorporating video for pretty much explaining anything, just because people learn easiest from video. We have actually implemented this in our own company when it comes to teaching new employees and just introducing new processes. So if I can just share that, let me see. Okay, let's escape out of here. I just want to share my Notion page so you can see how we do that inside of the company. So can you see my Notion here?
Yes, yes, we can see
Oh,
it.
perfect. Yeah, so this is our instructions page, and I've started this even before I had any employees, just to build a base of processes and explanations about how we do things within the company. So, for example, this is for content production. So we have outlined our graphical identity, what settings should be used, and so on. So this is kind of simple stuff. Whenever it's a bit more complicated, like let's say placing videos on YouTube, well, it's just a set of videos and explanations of the entire process. So there's basically no kind of points where somebody can get stuck. Everything is explained here. And within this, let's call it a local knowledge base, we're also constantly updating it. So if we update a process within a company, we will update the content here so everybody can kind of follow along and understand what they need to do as part of their job. I found that this works especially well when it comes to onboarding new employees. You don't have to sit there next to them and try to explain everything. Usually, at least in my experience with working with different companies, is the person that's explaining is annoyed that they need to explain things, and then they try to get through everything as fast as possible, and then the new employee that's being onboarded is overwhelmed and they don't understand anything. So you get to the situation where you need to explain things over and over again, and mistakes are made. And I think it's way more efficient just to create content, and then we can just always refer to that content, and there's way less possibility to get any issues when it comes to either onboarding people, but also when it comes to just building new processes and sharing information within companies. So my goal is to try to encourage you to incorporate video in your processes and incorporate everything that you've mentioned here in terms of the approach. Try to make it fun. I know it can sound a bit silly and people get annoyed, like, why should I make something fun? This is business. We need to do it in a professional manner, which is true, but it's also true that we're all humans and we do need things that kind of appeal to our psyche and our emotions, and just trying to make things fun and effective this way is going to make your processes a lot better. Just as I was saying that, I remembered about those videos that they've seen, like the old tapes of instructional videos for McDonald's workers and just the general kind of chain restaurant workers, where they would make these interesting videos just to easily onboard people. They realized that way back in the 70s. So we can definitely do it now when it comes to something as complex as Revit. So yeah, that's the kind of my idea behind this presentation, and hopefully I've motivated some of you to incorporate this. Just at the end, I would like to thank you all for your attention. Also, I'd like to provide a special coupon code, so SRUG coupon code, which you can use on balkanarchitect.com. It gives you 10% off one-on-one consulting, 50% off the first month if you get a monthly subscription, and 30% off for the lifetime subscription. So if you are interested in our content, you can use this coupon code. It's valid till the end of the year. We also offer an option to gift a course. So if you know somebody that needs perhaps a subscription or a specific course, you can gift it to them for the holiday season. That's something else that we offer as well. So yeah, that's going to conclude the prepared part of this presentation. But I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions that you might have. Um, and yeah, or if you're interested in our processes or with anything that we do, and yeah.
Yeah, so anyone who has a question, feel free to maybe write it in the chat or just join the conversation and ask your question directly. Okay, maybe I could start with the okay, there is a one. Uh okay. Milos, can you see the
Yeah,
chat
I can see.
or
So it's
all right.
uh, what are the worst Revit tools to use, most hated? Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I think people hate topography, which is something that I've seen with the new topo solids that are introduced. I really like what they bring to the table, but people seem to really hate them, especially from what I see in the comments of our videos. I think it's just that it tends to look awful unless you have a lot of points. So I think that's the primary reason, and also people don't like change at all when it comes to Revit, which is something else that I've noticed. But yeah, I think as a tool set, I think the whole approach to topography is quite hated, at least in my experience.
Would you say that the new two is better than the previous one? So the top solid is better than the top
Well,
surface.
for me at least, I prefer it. I like it, but yeah. Oh, here we have yeah. So any wish list items. So let me just go because they can only have position values. It seems to be like released half baked. Yeah. So I've actually just to mention that I've worked with Autodesk a couple of times when it comes to their market research. They call you can apply. I did a video interview with one of the product owners at Autodesk. So they have this program where you can apply and then they invite you to test new tools. So I've actually tested some of the topography tools, the new TopoSolid tools as they were being built. And yeah, the thing is, they're just dealing with a lot of different people asking for different things. And usually they just gonna try to make something that appeals to everybody, and they often fail, at least with what people usually tend to say. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind the topo solids. It does seem very half-baked, and yeah, railings, stairs, those tools really work very. They're very awful in a way. You can try to kind of make them better, but yeah, they do lack a lot of functionality, and you do often have to resort to doing in-place modeling, which is definitely not ideal within a BIM environment. So yeah, in terms of wish list items for Revit 2026, I don't know. I think I'm hoping for better TopoSolid tools, honestly, just more useful features. So that's definitely one of them. Also, in terms of just how walls are integrated. And I see a lot of issues, especially when you have walls coming at angles, and a lot of issues can come up there. So hopefully something for that. I don't know. So that would be kind of my short wish list. But yeah, I'm because I'm doing mostly education, I'm mostly teaching, so I don't really use Revit all that much in terms of working on projects. So I think that a lot of you would probably have longer wish lists just because of the things that you actually need on your projects. And I'm there just to kind of show what's possible with the products that we have from Autodesk.
Okay, here I do have a question, which is kind of continuing this topic that you started about model in place versus BIM concept.
Mhm.
So maybe you could say that, or at least maybe I could say that some of your tutorials are showing how to model something inside Revit environment, and sometimes, yeah, I definitely agree that this is the fun and easy way to do it. But on the other hand, it's important also to follow the BIM concepts and the information classification inside Revit environment, and sometimes this could be tricky. I don't know how you're dealing with this showing quick and easy problem solving workflow, or trying to go in depth in the problem and trying to uh, I don't know, explain uh, in more complicated way. Maybe you're adjusting to the background of the person who asks you, or how do you tackle uh, such things?
Yeah, it's always a problem with specific things that Revit doesn't have a clear approach to how they're modeled or how they're completed, and then you have to kind of figure out an approach that works. So just going back to the beginning of my presentation, I started working with students at first, and then most of my content in the beginning was catered more towards students. And at the university, you're basically just trying to make things that look nice, and you're not really bothering too much with the BIM concept. And then as I started to learn Revit more and more, I do try to include this information and just different approaches. The problem is YouTube is a very brutal platform when it comes to the algorithm, and when it comes to the videos, they really need to be as engaging as possible. And if I make a video where I go too much into depth when it comes to these topics, like just fitting in the whole BIM workflow, especially with a lot of things, I can say, okay, so we can do this in place model like this, but then it has these benefits, or we can do it like that, but then it has these benefits, and then we can do it this way if you need to fit into whatever system you're using here. And just a simple 5-minute tutorial can easily turn into a 7-hour masterclass on on something. And usually, the more complexity I tend to add, the less views I get, unfortunately. And people do always ask to have something like that. Like, oh, can you do an entire process for this? And then I do that, and then nobody watches it. So, what people ask and what people actually watch is usually different. So, this being a business, we need to maximize the view count, maximize engagement. However, on the website itself, on the courses where we don't have uh, uh, this kind of YouTube market of or marketplace of attention. There we go a lot deeper into these topics, and we try to kind of explain in depth how things can be done. But even there, for example, I did a course which I'm very proud of. It's a materials in Revit masterclass where I've explained a question that they did get a lot, which is how do you like how can I take a photo of a material and then turn it into a Revit material that also looks really well when rendered? And I've created a course for this because I needed several hours to explain all of the intricate details of the entire process. And that course, for example, doesn't really do that well, even though people ask me this all the time. So it's kind of weird watching it kind of from a back end, what people are asking for and what people are actually watching. But just to answer your question, we do try to do cover most of that in our courses, and then the YouTube is there mostly just to do the kind of the fun things and get as much attention as possible.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Because yeah, I'm thinking because sometimes from my experience, it's really hard to uh, get rid of the things that some people are used to do. In the beginning, they found a very easy way to model something like model in place, but if it's a complex project and if you need to use it for quantities or something, it's really hard to make them do in a different manner that they because in the beginning they learn the easy way, and then it's really hard to teach them, okay, yeah, this is the easy way, you could do it really easy, but we are aiming something that could not work with your approach, and it's really hard.
Yeah, I
Okay,
had
so,
a sorry
yeah,
if I can just
yeah.
say something on that topic. Yeah, I actually had a discussion with Gavin from Aussie BIM Guru in the comments. I had a lot of these comments when I would do a video on a specific topic, and then people would say, "Oh, that's wrong. We do this approach," and then other people say, "No, that's wrong. We use this approach," and it just becomes this kind of fight in the comments of what the best approach is. Uh, what I like to say is like my goal is to make Revit more accessible to people, make it easy and fun to learn. Just because you need to get into the BIM world in a kind of bite-sized chunks in an easy way. But then once you're in, once you start working within a company and you have a BIM system, people really need to comply with that. And that kind of brings us back to the presentation where uh, the companies really need to try to make their processes as simple as possible to use and incorporate. And if that means making your own tutorials on how to do things, I think that would be really helpful. Yeah, what they said in that video, like if a company is relying on their or asking their employees to figure out a solution online, that BIM process is completely doomed from the start because the reason why somebody might be using a specific approach might be very specific to what they're trying to do. So companies need to basically compete with YouTube, I guess, and make something that's as fun to learn and as easy to learn, but also fits into the entire process.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think what you do is really important because people are getting on board. It doesn't really matter if this is the best workflow. They start using Revit, and once they're there, they could figure their own way into the system. But they're on board. They start using this tool, this software, and it's up to them if they're gonna follow the easy way or start building on top of these easy and fun workflows that you're sharing. Sometimes basically more in the beginning.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So there's another question here in the chat regards uh, what do you consider as a must when modeling from point clouds? So if you have some thoughts on modeling from
Yeah,
point clouds.
yeah, we have reviewed a few tools, a few plugins for working with point clouds. From kind of my experience, the main issue is the overwhelming file sizes, and just the fact that point clouds tend to really halt your process, and just orbiting them around and just working with them tends to be really slow. So just managing or finding a way that's either automating the process of converting point clouds into Revit geometry, or finding a way to get the point clouds out of Revit as soon as possible throughout the process is usually the goal. So we've worked with a company, I think it's called Undead for Revit. They have a plugin that uh, basically what it allows you to do is uh, it opens up the point cloud outside of Revit, and then inside of Revit, you can kind of pick out which part of the point cloud you want to see. So let's say you want to have a floor plan. It's just going to bring in a screenshot, and it's not going to slow you down. So it's just bringing in images instead of the actual point cloud, and the point cloud is opened somewhere else. I'm guessing in the cloud. I don't remember just how exactly their software works, but the general idea is not to have the point cloud inside of Revit, and then it makes everything a lot faster. And then they also have some tools that make it just easier to recreate the model within Revit by using Revit geometry. So kind of that's my experience with point clouds so far.
Okay, nice. So does anybody have any more questions? Again, feel free. I'm encouraging you to write your questions in the chat, or even raise them directly here in the conversation. While we are waiting, maybe I could ask one more question, which is about the attention, because you said this is a uh, key thing that we need to fight for, and how, uh, by your experience, because you share that you've created like a online wiki, let's say the Notion page where where is the home of all the workflows and the best practices that you're implementing in your own company. But how do you communicate this within your team? Because okay, it's there, it's up to them to go there and look for any particular question they might have, but still making them go there. Um, I don't know how you share the information about it, how you encourage them to go there for help instead of just ask you or any of the colleagues, for example.
Yeah, I understand the question. And yeah, we do have often situations where people are asking me how to do something where it's already outlined very clearly there. So it's not perfect, but and hopefully we can optimize it through Notion search and just try to use some sort of tag. So that's the idea for next year, just to try to optimize that a bit better. And we're actually looking into the idea of creating our own kind of Revit, but Notion-based knowledge base. So just structure everything within Notion just because it's a wonderful tool. I love using it. So the idea is to try to use the search tools and the AI that Notion has in order to just make searching through content a lot easier. But just to go back to your question is, yeah, uh, we do have problems with this. What I like to do is for any new employee, I like them to go through all of the content that's available there for their part of the work, and then they know that that's there. Now, at some point, they might forget. I might have to remind them, but when they go through everything once or twice, it's usually they usually know where everything is at, and then they can go back. But yeah, still people forget from time to time, and that's okay. We're all human. But I think it would be good to have an extended onboarding, especially inside of the AC industry companies, where somebody might have a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, just to go through all of the content the company would create, understand the processes in depth, perhaps have one project as a kind of a sample project, just showing the work and an approach. And I think that would streamline things and make it a lot easier down the line instead of having to fix mistakes later on.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. There's one more question here in the chat. First, if Ivanov thanks you for the presentation and the countless saved hours. I think a lot of people in the audience could say that. Can you tell us some plugins that can automate the work in Revit? Maybe from
Mhm.
your experience, your favorite plugins or something that you could recommend?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the world of Revit plugins is vast and amazing, and you can find a lot of useful things there. It's just a matter of figuring out what works best for your company and your processes. It's also different when you don't know if you're talking to perhaps an individual or a very small company, or if it's a major company where they can actually afford to build their own plugins and save time that way. But from what I've used so far, I really like Environment for Revit for doing topography. It's a really good tool. We've worked with them on promoting their plugin, and I've actually incorporated their plugin in our course. So our site design and coordination course in Revit is has a couple of chapters on the environment plugin, just because I think it just automates the process of creating topography and makes it a lot more kind of natural to how architects would think about topography, which is through contour lines and not points. So that's definitely one to mention. I've mentioned the undead for point clouds. I think that's a really interesting plugin if you're looking into uh, point clouds, or if you're working with point clouds. On our website, we also sell RCCS, which is a plugin for cabinetry in Revit, especially kitchens. I think inside of Revit, you're really relying on having good families for your kitchens, but it often just doesn't match the design or doesn't give you the flexibility. You would have to have a library with thousands of elements that would take forever to build. And RCCS uses the curtain wall system in order to, it's basically basing cabinetry off of that. So you can easily sketch out like an elevation view of what you would like your kitchen to look like. And then you can just apply and say, okay, I want shelving here, I want a glass door here, I want some drawers here, the fridge is there, and so on. And it does all of this kind of automatically. So it just makes the process a lot cleaner and a lot closer to how you would think about building a kitchen, for example, inside of Revit. So those are some uh, that I would point out as the ones that I have used most. But yeah, there are tons that can be really useful. I think it's Speckle that does all the kind of connections and bridging between software. I think their product is amazing and just what it can do. So yeah, we do work a lot with companies on promoting plugins, so you can check out our videos and see the ones about plugins. But I think it's something that they've noticed is people don't really understand how much or how many plugins there are out there, and if they just spend a little bit of time searching for a plugin that might fit their workflow and needs, they can save a ton of time in the future.
Yeah, you're quite right. Okay, are there more questions here? Anybody? Okay, so maybe we could go to the conclusion now of our session today. We're gonna share with anybody who registered for the event uh, additional information, especially the one that you're seeing here shared from Milos about the special coupon code that is available for you for the courses and consulting and subscriptions. Okay, so a new question here popped up. Do you have any advices and experience with the Revit API?
No, it's
Okay,
something that I'm still afraid of looking into. Uh,
it's not that afraid. Since
really?
you've managed to do all that content and all these things that we can see, I can assure you that it's not something that's
Mhm.
scary.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So no. All right. I don't want to take more of your precious time here, so I encourage anybody um, who has any further question to contact you via maybe your website or
Yeah, website,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah, those two. I'm definitely available there.
Okay, perfect. We do our best to gather all the information, all the useful links that I already wrote down some of the softwares that we've mentioned, add-ins and things like that, which are gonna be shared with you in additional email after the session. So thank you everybody for the time and especially to today's guest Miłosz, who shared his amazing experience so far. So I hope we'll meet again in the future to share more.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for hosting me, and thank you everybody for your attention. As we said, attention is a very valuable resource today. So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing yours for this hour.
Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.